Retoñarán flores, retoñarán flores, renaceremos. Thank you.
Okay, so we have our first feature reader of the night is Ara Shirinyan, who I've known for a few years, and he's got a number of books out. One of them is The Handsome Fish Offices, along with Syria is the World, and Your Country is Great. And we are lucky people because he has them for sale today, along with David Canning's books and Roy Shoplow's. So, Ara Shirinyan. Woo!
Hi everybody. Hi. Thank you, John, for asking me to read. Let me check the time so I don't go over. 9:54. So
like one bottle of wine.
okay, I know when I'll stop. This I wanted to read. I wrote this book. Well, the book was published 4 years ago, but I think I started writing this piece about 8 years ago. It's the title, Syria is in the World. And I made it after, I too, I think I'm mostly a political poet. So I wrote it after the US went into Iraq, and at the same time they were talking about the axis of evil and how some neocons were just saying, let's just take out Syria too, just get it all over with. And then my grandma was born in Aleppo, Syria, and so I obviously didn't want another war or another country to be invaded. But look what's happening now, so the people are turning on the dictator. Okay, so Syria is in the... Oh, and most of the text is from the Syrian tourism ministry website. I've just reworked it. Every person has two homelands. Syria is the cradle of civilizations. Civilizations emerged as the product of Syria's indigenous people. Others, civilizations, came from abroad, establishing contexts of exchange, reaching the most fertile interaction known to humanity. Thousands of archaeological sites attest that history is condensed in Syria, the greatest small country in the world. Syrian people are friendly and peaceful. All possible individual personalities and human beings hold in possession more than one area set aside to be a state for a people of a particular national, cultural, or racial origin. Syria is the most beautiful destination in the world. Syria made copper pliable. Syria's long history invented bronze. Syria's glory is not only in the present. If you are interested in history, then Syria is the most under-advertised important country in the world. Any visitor to Syria, where crime rate is low, will say the same thing. Syria is one of the most beautiful destinations. Syrian people are peaceful. Syrians were first to wear hand-weaved cotton and silk cloths. This is why, rightfully, Syria was called the cradle of civilizations. Modern man is indebted. Nature in Syria is very diverse. We are adding new pictures, ranging from forests to the northwest, where there are an abundance of palaces, to beaches in Syria's Mediterranean coast, where there are an abundance of palaces, and Syria's breadbaskets in the northeast and the south, where there are an abundance of palaces. Syria's streets are among the world's safest. The crime rate is very low, and people wander the streets in Syria's nights. Syrian people are friendly. If you are interested in history and historical monuments, you cannot miss Syria. There is a monument around every corner. There is no civilization in the east or west throughout world history that didn't pass through Syria and leave a mark in Syria, as well as being affected by Syria. Syria's long history, a cradle for civilizations. Food in Syria is very tasty and famous. Syria is often the largest small country in the world. Syria has a long history. The Bronze Civilization came. 10,000 years ago, agriculture began. Houses, not caves, became man's dwellings. All possible individual personalities and human beings hold in possession more than one area set aside to be a state for a people of a particular national, cultural, or racial origin. Syria is one of the destinations in the world. Today we still admire fabric. Syria is the cradle of the great civilization. The accomplishments of our ancients are renowned. Syrian people are friendly and peaceful. The Islamic conquest only confirmed Syria's Arab identity, gave a tense to the land. It was in Syria that soil was tamed, settlement commenced, civilization emerged. Journey through Syria is journey through time. Silk Road caravans were for carrying goods. Houses became man's dwellings. Man embarked on journey of self-discovery. He observed heaven and sang hymns, tried his hand at drawing and sculpture. These ancient arts are found all over Syria. You are interested in monuments. Thanks. One of the newest things I've done. These are just this 2 days of world history just based on BBC headlines. So Libya rejects UN military forces while Australia refugee deal illegal as Islamist admits US-German attack and Obama declares floods disaster while Syria accused of killing detained. As 2 Tibet monks jailed over death while deadliest month in Afghan war and jail over Bolivia protest deaths and bailiffs raid BP Moscow offices. 2 quit over failed US gun sting as bomb attack kills 11 in Pakistan while coral could hold key to sunscreen and astrophysicist finds fastest method of plane boarding. As Beyonce News breaks Twitter record while Nadal joins Djokovic in round 2 and Rooney not sure over Hargreaves as bank reforms to go ahead and Fletcher suspect found in Libya. As Wooten's tributes draw to close while riot bank theft boy 11 sentenced as eviction fight goes to high court and hospital error paralyzed girl 14. But blaze tackled at historic flats as police pledge in hunt for Arlene and Sir Tom Jones leaves hospital so Gaddafi's forces give an ultimatum and food airlifted to Irene's stranding. That wine gave me a headache. While Australia anger at WikiLeaks data and jail over Bolivia protest deaths and Jewish settlers get army training, but New Zealand Press Association closes down as UK memo welcomes Karzai's exit. And deadliest month in Afghan war and Syria forces in new crackdown as police clash with ANC supporters and jailed US polygamist critical. But Shears impaled US Gardner in eye while Melbourne tops livable city list. Because chocolate may help protect the heart, but Rooney not sure over Hargreaves and Djokovic through as Nyland quits as Arsenal close in on Mortzacker while Libyan cash in UK banks unfrozen as Royal Marine dies in Afghanistan. And gender pay gap to last 98 years as UK's summer coolest since 93. So man admits Rooney blackmail plot, while more arrests over riot car deaths as council set to reject share plan because male bosses paid more than women. While dead riders a beautiful brother as attack accused bailed for school and fast ferry halted over fuel costs as Keating ready for Irish C team while heads roll over botched gun sting as Exxon clinches Arctic oil venture. Because Chile shooting, police dismissed, while Guatemala STD study unethical, as Zimbabwe expels rebel Libya envoy and ICC rejects Kenya violence appeal, so Spain moves closer to deficit cap, while twin suicide attacks in Chechnya. Man, I got so much time. You guys gotta chill out. It's really weird to see these dictators die, but I'm not cool with killing you know, and it's just so horrible to just have people play with death. I mean, Gaddafi's an asshole. But, you know, I don't want to...
Not anymore.
Yeah, I just rolls.
Okay, so I wrote this book called Your Country is Great. This is just the first third. The second third is going to come out in a few months. But I just Googled every country on the CIA fact book, in the CIA fact book. And, you know, if you Google something with quotes around it, if that phrase doesn't come up, then it won't give you results. Like, Afghanistan is great. So, this whole book, and then there are others like disputed regions that aren't in the CIA fact book and great leaders. This book just uses those search results to make up the material. That's clear, right? Yeah? Afghanistan is great. Afghanistan is great. You see, this is the thing, because one of the things I think that keeps people from getting along is this relatively new nationalism. You know, it's a few hundred years old. And so, I thought if I wrote a great poem about every country, then they would all cancel each other out, like kind of mathematically. But I had no idea that great is used so many different ways. I mean, and you'll see. Afghanistan is great, but much smaller than previously assumed. The need for education in Afghanistan is great and must be met quickly. Need for food in Afghanistan is great. Well acquainted with unique problems facing Afghanistan. The need for tough, dependable, locally repairable wheelchairs in Afghanistan is great. A mountain, an airplane, aviation in Afghanistan is great fun. Pipeline via Afghanistan is great. There is no question that Allah's knowledge and love of Afghanistan is great, even as he regrets the limits of his understanding. I don't get it. I don't get that. Okay. This is from A to G, so if you guys want to hear a country. And then, of course, if a country doesn't come up, like no one said that country is great on the internet, I just leave it blank because they need to get represented, you know. Burma is great. Burma is great for private parties. Burma is great. Difficult to find a working internet connection though, so I will be scarce on news and emails for another 2 weeks. The demand for credit in rural Burma is great. For what might be termed productive purposes, the agriculturalist in Burma needs capital to plant. And then...
Guatemala.
Yes, Guatemala.
Yes. Guatemala is great. Sail fishing in Guatemala is great year-round, with truly exceptional fishing from late October through June. Do not hesitate to contact us. The challenge in Guatemala is great. Illiteracy is rampant, particularly in rural sectors, where the majority of the indigenous Mayan population lives. Guatemala is great. My favorite place in Guatemala is Panajachel, and Rio Dulce, Mansion del Rio Hotel. That was great. They have everything there. I'm looking forward to this. Other travelers say Guatemala is great, naming both the Mayan people and nature.
The Mayan people and nature.
The need for quality family planning services in Guatemala is great. Nearly a third of women report having an unmet need for birth control. Guatemala is great value. Money. The largest majority of banks in Guatemala have ATMs. All will change USD cash to quetzals. The need, quetzal's the bird, right? The beautiful bird. The need for wheelchairs in Guatemala is great. Okay, so obviously you see the pattern emerging between first, second, and third world here. The need for wheelchairs in Guatemala is great. But with your help, we can make a difference. The food in Guatemala is great, a close second to Mexico. The price was much lower though. Breakfast was usually $2 per person with bacon. For simple things like pants with 4 seams, Guatemala is great, says Lou. They can do these things quickly, and it's close to the US. Delivery takes only a few days. The number of children needing homes and the level of poverty in Guatemala is great. Guatemala is great, not quite as cheap as Thailand, but laid back.
Argentina. Chile.
Okay. Alright, I'm gonna do it. Let me do some disputed regions that don't come up in Chechnya is great. The war in Chechnya is great. This guy, other than the war and everything else, is capped, so he's screaming the shit out. Okay? The war in Chechnya is great start of great end. Chechnya forever. And Russia is only for a while. Allahu Akbar. Kurdistan is great. Kurdistan is great country. Don't know about visas, etc., but Kurdistan is great. People friendly, etc., etc., relatively safe. Always keep your eyes, ears open. But you should be good. Kurdistan is great. It should be supported hugely. Among other things, it would show Europeans what Turkey is like. And then I did, like Stalin is great, and Hitler is great, and Mussolini is great. So this one's Kim Jong-il is great. One of the, I think, most phenomenal dictators the world has ever spawned, I think. This guy is just phenomenal. I feel so fucking sorry for North Korea right now, but I would just watch this National Geographic special, so I'm very informed, and it's Jack, man. General Secretary Kim Jong-il is great father of large family of socialism. Kim Jong-il is great, a great big dickhead. Respected comrade, Kim Jong-il is great thinker and theoretician. Kim Jong-il is great and all people on this planet worship him. Kim Jong-il is great in comparison to these worthless criminals. Respected comrade, Kim Jong-il is great leader of the scientific, technological, and educational development in the 21st century. First, the girls' revolutionary history teacher asked the children to recite the 3 ways in which Kim Jong-il is great. They respond with sincerity that he is great in ideology, leadership, and aura. In the next scene, a young gymnast belts out to the trainees a song praising Kim Jong-il, which might as well be Waterloo by ABBA. Kim Jong-il is a great leader who is loved by all Korean people. Millions of starving individuals are destroyed as they are forced to chant, saying that Kim Jong-il is great and communism is the salvation of the masses. You know, it's really messed up that we can't get communism right. Everybody's got capitalism, they agree that it's corrupt, but they'll just fund the bank. The bank will fund the corruption. I think communists need to love banks and just print their shit money. Okay, this is for that idiot running for the president on the Republican side, Herman Cain. I mean, they're all idiots, most of them. Sorry, but yeah. The other day he was on Trinity Broadcasting Network and he said that it's not his job to know the names of these insignificant countries like Uzbekistan, like Uzbekistan, okay? And because his job is to fix the economy and create jobs. Now, Uzbekistan is not, you can't have the leader of the United States think there are insignificant countries and at least blurt it out, but Uzbekistan produces a big chunk of the world's cotton, so we're all wearing Uzbek cotton picked by slave labor. He takes these kids and he forces them into the fields. So, what an asshole Herman Cain is. Uzbekistan. Godfather's Pizza. What? He owned Godfather's Pizza. What, have you eaten there? Is it good?
But I didn't.
No, it sounds good. Yeah, it sounds good. It sounds Italian.
It's interesting that you go into a business and then come out with a philosophy. People don't care. Don't matter really. Vote for me, buy my pizza.
And the leader of Uzbekistan Uzbekistan is Islam Karimov. He's a brutal guy. I am Islamite. I love Turkish and Persian, Mongolian, Arabian, and Caucasian. All is friend. I love Japanese otaku culture. Uzbekistan is great. Motherland. Islam Karimov is great father. Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan and Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, East Turkestan, Uyghur and Turkey, and Caucasian is great brother. All Turkestan is great nation. And then whoever posted this created something that's really beautiful. And that's it. Okay, you wanted Argentina?
Yeah.
I'm gonna end with something more autobiographical, you guys. So I'll read. Okay, Argentina. Okay, Argentina is great. The food was truly one of the best finds. The food is great, fresh and not spicy. Not what most people from the US would expect. I think Argentina is great for all kinds of stuff. As it's such a big country, they have lots of things to do and see. Argentina is great and I want to make it grow. Grow and grow. Argentina is great. Before I knew there was a shelter there, I thought those ruins looked like the ultimate cat playground. Argentina is great because the population is 90 to 95% Mediterranean. Few Jews because the great rightist, pro-white military junta got rid of 50,000 leftist Jews. This is why I think the launching of legitimate services in Argentina is great news. Airbag pop band Argentina. We are young and love music. To have basically the biggest scores of the tournament and to beat Argentina is great. Such a relief to be in the quarterfinals. Argentina is great and might have had an edge, but they still lost. Which is what counts. To call them talentless is insane and disrespectful. Following the devaluation of the peso, shopping in Argentina is great for tourists. You can get a lot for the money. That's what Americans, having done my research, you know what I'm saying? This is what Americans love. It's like, what country has suffered an economic heart attack? Let's go. Let's go. Get some tote bags made by peasants. That's amazing. Argentina is great, but the way they do business here is criminal. There is a reason they are ranked as one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Bird watching in Argentina is great. Argentina is great for that and cheap at it. I like meat. So Argentina is great. Lots of beef. This garlicky sauce from Argentina is great spooned over beef or chicken. What an original argument. Argentina is shit. Argentina is great. Get over yourselves and accept the truth. Argentina is both of these things. And I'll read France is great and then... oh, I got time, man. Are you guys bored? I don't think so. I'm cherry picking this shit. France is great. And you know the French are cocky. And they're not cocky, they're snooty. They can be. Air France is great. France is great and the rest of the world is rubbish. Why France is great? Why France is great? France is great and the rest of the world stinks. France is great and the rest of the world sucks. Life in France is great. My girlfriend just gave birth in a French hospital. Transportation in Lyon and all over France is great. France is great and the rest of the world isn't. France is great. I feel in love with my boyfriend there. Paris is the most fabulous, gorgeous, exciting city on earth. French people are really cool and really sweet and just waiting for a chance to prove to you how nice they are. France is great because she is France. France is great? Why is the myth important? The answer is a mix of nostalgia, culture, and economic self-interest. Let's start a new trend. France is great. That's it. One more. I got time. One more Chile. Oh, Chile was... Okay, so once I was really drunk when I read this from this book, and I read the first page of Chile is great, thinking I was reading China is great. I was just putting in China every time there was Chile. It was really fucked up. And they all sounded kind of the same because tourist language is very generic. That's one of the reasons I did this. But okay, Chile is great. Chile is great. I traveled extensively down the coast on a 90,000-ton cruise liner. Why to wonder status of women? Chile is great. The first female president. Chile is a fast-paced society. Because I ended up sleeping through the whole thing, guess I better go back. Chile is great anyway. The temptation to dwell on the copper conflict as a key causative factor in the economic and other difficulties experienced by Chile is great. Chile is great. The most beautiful, fun place, so much freedom. Chile is great. Send Rachel my love. I'm gonna send you guys some snail mail as soon as I can speak enough Spanish to buy stamps. Everything from Chile is great. My family and I left Chile in 1982. I was 14 years old when we left, and I have not been back since. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Teaching in Chile is great. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing your students advance and improve, especially when they start from the basics. Chile is a great country to live and work. Nice climate, surreal landscapes, nice people, stable with a high standard of living. The natural landscape in Chile is great and its cities are best avoided. Capability of calling home from Chile is great, but is doing so to chat with mom, for instance, a good idea? Maybe not. Chile is great and is probably so as it is a more affluent country than, say, Peru and Bolivia. People are more international here. The food in Chile is great. With it being the end of summer, there are still tons of fresh fruits and vegetables. The food in Chile is great. Lots of empanadas, natural, fruits and juices, abundant seafood, excellent bread and white wines, and lots of affordable beef. Chile is great. That's pretty cool that you travel all around the world. I'm planning to do the same thing soon. Okay, so there's this American poet. You want me to speak into this thing right here?
Yeah.
I don't like to speak in mics, but you can't hear me back there? Maybe you should tell people. No, I'm just kidding. No. Okay, so there was this New York poet, Joe Brainerd. He was an artist as well, and he wrote this really great book called I Remember, and where everything starts with I Remember. And I made a whole book of I Remembers, where like 70% of the material is just Google searches, like other people's I Remembers, and I always thought this was other people's, but I read it again today and I realized most of it is mine. Some of them I made up. Because you can see they're historical. Some of the things I mentioned, like I remember things that happened hundreds of years ago and that's not true. Oh, you guys gonna listen now? Hey, I seriously don't care. You guys can go on talking over me. It's cool.
Use your power.
What?
Use your power.
I will use my power. I remember looking at the bush when the first colonizer tread. I remember my first black person from Nigeria. Okay, so in Armenia, where I was born, you had some Kurds, some Russians, and all Armenians. And that's it. But we had, when I got older and I was allowed to go outside, I saw my first black person, and it was amazing. No, it was an amazing experience because I was like, Dad, what's going on here? And he said, oh, they're coming to school here. I was like, to our little country? They're coming to school here? That's amazing. Anyway, I remember hovering 3 inches off the ground so that passersby could give me change. I remember the Christians are taking over the English department. I remember women picking flowers while the men were out of gas. I remember how robots would one day take over all labor. This is the Marxist utopia, right? That none of us have to work ever. Yes. I remember templates would make it easier to do things on the computer. I remember being in bed and taking hours to do the first kiss. I remember feeling superior or not regretting it. I remember the Berlin Wall and the Israeli fence. Is it a fence? Is it a wall? I remember how it was just a word. It's just language. I remember my first Thanksgiving. I remember... This is stupid. I remember dying on my bed for a minute without having written any masterpiece. I remember hoarding plastic bags. I remember looking the part. I remember reading out loud and kissing books. I remember the faces of the Indians as their land was taken away, slowly. I remember smoking because Camus had smoked. I remember washing my hands and sucking my toes. I remember noodles and noodling. I remember revolutionaries dancing and watching television. I remember Howard Dean is the last real Democrat. I remember your printer running out of ink. I remember watching television in the morning and then it was dark outside. I remember thinking why this or that was happening to me since I was so nice and all. I remember never having a blackout since though sometimes they would have been more necessary. I remember becoming a vegetarian and then changing my mind. I remember digging up the hide and guts of a sheep I'd seen slaughtered in our neighborhood just to impress my friends. I remember watching a Communist Party meeting only to spot my aunt and grandmother in the audience. I remember coughing and smoking and since I would one day quit, not caring. I remember Chinese food really late at night so we could finally drive home. I remember people being drunk and talking too much, embellishing and making me sad and sometimes furious. I remember typing things into the internet without a spell checker and making errors. I remember the soft cushion one person makes when you're trying to not to remember another. I remember if a tree falls on a car and no one's there to hear it, the insurance will pay for it. I remember all the things I would do if I won the lottery. I remember buying people I hadn't seen in a long time rounds of drinks on my credit card. I remember getting car sick while young and seasick while now. I remember the first time I had sex pretending it wasn't the first time. I remember an argument over Moses's and Moses's, the apostrophe outside apostrophe S. I remember becoming a young pioneer, but no one here knows what that's about. I remember how walking barefoot would give me the flu. I remember being a sleepwalker at the age of 4. I remember being in New York for only 1 hour, getting a green card. It goes on and on. Hey, you guys are so amazing, man. Thank you, man.